Trouble in the Philippines. Is the Philippines dangerous or not? Stand by, we'll get into it. Hey everybody, Walking Man Walks back again with another video. Like I said the other day, I'm back in the Philippines and I watch a lot of YouTube videos just like everybody else and you, and I've been watching a lot of videos lately about stuff going on in the Philippines that's not necessarily normal, but it's a big country, so you have to be careful when you're in the Philippines, not only where you go, but what you do and what you project. So let's get right into it. So I watched one video, I'll try and link that here, of a guy, an expat like me living in the Philippines. I think he's in Angeles City. It might be Dumaguete. He doesn't really say in the video where he is, but a lot of people, foreigners, have been being pickpocketed and robbed. But when you go to a place like Angeles City, which is, I don't know how many expats are there, or Dumaguete, you walk down the street and you'll see 5 or 6 expats in a 2-3 block walk. So these places, obviously, you're going to have more crime. That's just the way it is. I've said many times in my videos that Filipinos are the nicest people in the world. They're the most accommodating people in the world. And that's true, but there's obviously caveats. This is also one of the most unequal countries in the world. And the poor people are very poor. So it's very tempting if you're living in a city like Angeles City and you're barely eating to, you see some white guy, or one of the guys who was robbed was actually Korean. You see some foreigner, with their fancy camera, flashing their money around, eating at all the nice restaurants. Yeah, there's a higher chance in a place like that where there's lots of expats, where somebody's going to try and rob you, pickpocket you. Now, I think it's more pickpocketing than actually robbing. There's not a ton of guns in the Philippines like there is the US, but there is guns. I mean, my sister's brother-in-law actually has a gun charge against him. He got caught carrying a gun, and he's a Filipino, so there's definitely illegal guns out there, but there's not a lot of guns. I've never seen a gun since I've been here, but even in my neighborhood last year, somebody got shot, I heard. Now, I'm sure they were, it was late at night, and I'm sure there was something shady going on then, but, drug deals or something like that. But what happens here, the Philippines is not immune to violence and crime by any means. So, there's lots of expats in Angeles City and Dumaguete and places like that. And when there's a lot of expats, it's going to attract some criminal elements, of course. That's probably almost any country you're in, especially a country like the Philippines where there are many people living in poverty. So yeah, there's that. Then I don't know if you all have watched, it was maybe a month ago now or 2 months ago, there was a younger guy, younger than me, he might have been like 30, living down in Mindanao, where I actually used to live for a few months. The first place I spent some time in the Philippines. But where I was in Ozamas City, which is in northern Mindanao, which I found to be completely safe. Of course, anywhere you go, you're going to have to watch out for pickpockets and stuff like that. That's just, the little kids will pick your pocket, and they're good at it. They'll do it in teams. One of them will distract you, and the other one will grab the money out of your pocket. So if you're traveling in the Philippines, and I don't even know if I need to say this, you need to keep your money in a zipper pocket, or I have a travel wallet that I travel with that slings over my shoulder and here, and it's pretty hard to grab without me knowing it. And there are instances of this. Expat talks about in this video, guys driving by on a motorcycle, and you see this a lot in Asian countries with 2 guys on a motorcycle, and one guy in the back grabs your bag as he's going by, and that's it, it's gone. So another thing is, when I travel with my wallet or bag, I don't put all my credit cards in there or debit cards, and I don't put all my money in there. I just take what I need for that day, and that's it. So if I did get robbed, yeah, I would lose some money, but I'm not losing everything. Heard of that the expat in that video mentions that one guy got his bag snatched like that, his sling bag they call it. It's like a fanny pack from the 80s, except it slings over your shoulder like this. He got his sling pack stolen by two guys on a motorcycle, and all his credit cards and all his money was in there. So he had to go to other expats and ask to borrow money. So I don't ever want to be in that position. So I don't ever carry everything I have with me. Another thing is you should have about, I would say 10 to 50,000 pesos stashed away, hidden in cash, maybe in a safe or a hiding spot. And this is something I do wherever I travel in the world. I as soon as I get into my hotel room or my condo I rent, I find a place like maybe in the ceiling or somewhere else where I hide the majority of my credit cards and cash, especially in like hotels, because then you have to worry about the people who come in to clean up and stuff like that. And I learned that a long time ago from a friend of mine who traveled a lot. When I worked for a traveling high school, we used to carry $10,000 10,000 American dollars with us for emergencies. So that's what we do. We'd stash it somewhere. So anyway, the guy in Mindanao, he was dating or married to a Filipina down there, but he wasn't where I was in Ozama City. He was in the southern part of Mindanao, a place called General Santos, which I was warned about when I first came to the Philippines, not to go to General Santos. I actually met a girl on a dating site that I was talking to, and she lived down there, and she was like, you probably don't want to come down here. Send me money and I'll come to Manila and meet you. I never did that because I didn't think that was a smart idea. So I never pursued that girl or woman. But the southern part of Mindanao and the Zamboanga Peninsula, which is the western part of Mindanao, are not safe for foreigners or expats. So this guy was living in General Santos with his wife, and one day, about a month ago, some armed men with machine guns came to his house and kidnapped him, and nobody's heard from him since. Actually, I'm gonna have to do a little more research on that, but I'm pretty sure he disappeared. Nobody's heard from him since. He got shot in the leg trying to run away when they did kidnap him. So you definitely have to be careful about where you go in the Philippines. But that being said, most of the Philippines, the majority of the Philippines is safe. There's also a chain of islands called the Sulu Islands down there. I actually saw a movie called Plane, I think, not too long ago. That's about a plane of Americans crashing there, or Australians, I think it was, crashing in the Sulu Islands, and they were quickly kidnapped by gangsters. And the Sulu Islands are run by gangsters, and it's all just basically like the wild, wild west down there. So you absolutely don't want to go down there. And I saw on a cooking show, I saw a guy go down there once. So, I mean, there are ways to go down there that are safe. Several years ago, some birders went down there because there's some exotic birds down there, and they were kidnapped too and held for ransom. I can't remember if that was ever resolved. I don't think so. I don't think anybody ever saw them again. So you definitely want to be careful where you go in the Philippines. But up here in the north, it's relatively safe. I mean, I don't really ever feel like I'm in danger or anything. But that's not it. Then another video I watched recently, and I'll link that up here too, is another guy who's married to a Filipino living in Negros. That's where the island that Dumaguete is on. It's right next to Bohol and Cebu. And I've been there. It's nice. Dumaguete is a nice city. But again, it's another city that's full of expats. So I decided that probably wasn't somewhere that I wanted to live. And a lot of the expats I met when I was down, let me start again. There's a lot of expats down there that, they move there and they're living on their Social Security. They're usually older guys, but they just frequent the bars and bar girls, and it's like a vicious cycle of drinking. And that's where you hear all the stories about guys just losing their money, spending all their money on some girl or something, and then they end up homeless in Dumaguete. But anyway, this guy lives outside Dumaguete in Negros somewhere with his wife, a Filipina who he married. And I think he built this house, or he bought this house that's got a fence around it and stuff. But his wife's family lives all around him, and they're very jealous and envious. And that's another thing that Filipinos talk about a lot is the envy in the Philippines could be crazy with family members. Like if a girl marries a foreigner, she basically hits the jackpot, and then her family gets very envious. And I don't really have that issue with my girlfriend and her family. They're all very nice and everything. I don't know, that could change, but I'm not planning on living near her family. We've discussed it several times, her and I, and she understands and she's fine with that. I mean, she has some issues with it. She would like to be close to her mom, and eventually we might move her mom in with us, but that's neither here nor there. It's something to talk about another time. So this guy in Dumaguete, or in Negros, he's living around his family, and I'll link that video here as well. His family, or his wife's family, nobody really likes them, or they're envious of him. And he said every time he has to walk up a path to get into his, he has a walled house, but he has to walk up a path by his wife's relatives to get in there, and they're always drinking on the porch and getting up to no good like people do when they drink. And he has a 17-year-old son. I think it's his adopted son, his stepson. And one day they were coming home and they threw a beer bottle at his head, and it did damage to his skull. It actually cracked his skull. He had to get his skull stapled back together, and it cost him a bunch of money. And I mean, that's just out of jealousy and envy. So that's another thing, guys. If you're going to come to the Philippines and marry a Filipina, there's the 2-island rule. Live 2 islands away from her family. And I think that's a smart rule. I mean, that's what I'm going to do if I actually marry Charisma and stay here. So I don't want to make this video too long, guys, but basically, if you're coming to the Philippines and Filipinos who watch my channel, go ahead and comment. I know a lot of Filipinos I saw in the comments of the other videos talked about this and the envy problem and how jealous people get here. But go ahead and comment about it, like, subscribe to my video, buy me a coffee if you want to help out the channel. I use that money to buy equipment, and I've had buy me a coffee for 6 months now, and I've made like $100 off of it. But thanks to the guys who did send me money on there. I appreciate it. I mean, there's nothing more satisfying, or nothing feels better than somebody liking your content and actually supporting your channel. I also have memberships now, so if you want to be a member, just go ahead and hit that membership button. And of course, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Help my channel grow. I would love that. My channel's, I have 2,100 subscribers now, which is great. Thank you, everybody. I never thought I'd even reach 1,000 subscribers, which, if you guys don't know, is what it takes to get monetized. Anyway, thanks again, guys, and I'll see you on the next video. I'll probably be putting out a video almost every day now, hopefully. Keep an eye out for my content. Peace.